Because
There's no way you're ever gonna know more about the zombie storyline than I do.
Dude, one day I'll be able to know the entire storyline, like off the top of my head.
I am a historian.
Alright, Thomas, tell me the entire storyline of Call of Duty Zombies.
Do you want to be on for another 2 hours?
Sure. Go ahead and go. Pop off.
Alright. Let me get comfortable.
Let me get comfortable.
Alright. So in the beginning, there was the one.
Mm-hmm.
He was by himself and he had no friends, so he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make friends. These original people are the Keepers. The Keepers protect reality, as we know it. And basically, the Keepers are super fucking smart. And at some point, the one gets split into two entities, which are Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man. So Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man vibe with the Keepers. But then eventually, the Keepers come up with the Summoning Key, which is basically an instrument that lets you create new realities. And basically allows you to travel between realities. So they go fucking wild creating realities. And eventually, some Keepers discover a corrupted reality called the Dark Ether, which is below creation, which is essentially hell.
Gotcha.
For lack of a better term. So basically, any of the boys who went down into the Dark Ether get corrupted by its, like, presence. So basically, the Shadow Man and a bunch of his boys went down to the Dark Ether and got corrupted. So when they tried to come back up to heaven, they were like, ah, hell nah. We send you back. So this is the first quote-unquote Great War. There's a lot of these, so pay attention. So this is the first quote-unquote Great War where they get sent back. So basically, the Keepers, the good Keepers, banish all the bad Keepers into the Dark Ether. And over time, the Dark Ether mutates all of the evil Keepers into the Apothicons. So those are like the main bad guys. But before they're sealed away, the Apothicons leave a magic pyramid on the moon. Of Earth's moon. They leave a magic pyramid on the moon.
I remember that.
And that is laid dormant, and they also send meteors of element 115 to Earth. To keep that for safekeeping. Basically, they want the humans to wage war so that a portal can open and they can come back to basically creation. Because they're banished to the Dark Ether. So now they're reviving in hell for eons. And this all happens until there is like the second Great War, which is where Primus come in. So there's the four heroes of legend, which are Primus, and we're going to focus on two separate timelines. There's Dimension 63 and the original Dimension. So, we should probably go with the original Dimension first. Four great heroes called Primus help fight back the Apothicons after humans figured out how to do shit with it, basically alchemy, and they accidentally summoned the Apothicons to Earth again. So they fight with the help of the Keepers and Primus. They seal them back, but in the original timeline, the Great War was not documented, so nothing about the war, anything like that, was documented at all. Primus die, and basically nothing happens for a while. Fast forward to the like 1800s. We're at a underground, well, it's not underground yet. It will be in a minute. We're at a American Western town called Purgatory Point.
Purgatory Point.
Here at Purgatory Point,
Pack a punch.
our boy Jeb Brown is born. Jeb Brown lives in Purgatory Point, and there's a mine beneath them that has element 115 below. I should probably explain what element 115 is. It's basically the shit that makes the zombies and the cool guns and shit. So there's a mine for element 115 underground. Basically, one of the miners gets stuck under there for like days. He doesn't come up for like a couple weeks. And then he comes up as the first known documented zombie, even though there were zombies in the Great War, I think, but not really. It's really weird. Just trust me. First documented zombie. His name is, I remember, it starts with an F. It's like Kleinsworth, whatever. That's a trivia question. Anyway, he comes up, and Jebediah's mother went to greet him, and then she got her throat ripped out because he was a zombie. Then they put him down, and then she was, just killed and buried. Jebediah Brown gets fucking depressed, and then the two angels, quote unquote, as he described them, it's actually the Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man coming to him, and they say, you need to build this thing for us. And basically he builds the Pack-a-Punch, the original Pack-a-Punch. Basically just a machine that upgrades weapons. And they're like, cool. People from all around come, but, Jeb's still, like, fucking depressed and shit. The angels come back again. They say, hey, we need you to build another thing for us. It's called the Agarthan device. It's a thingy that basically grants any wish you want. And the three components are Apothecum blood, the, seal thing, and what was the other thing? The blood, the case.
Blood. Yeah, you forgot the case.
No, it's the blood, the case, and the elemental shard. The elemental shard, which is, the elemental shard is a piece of 115 that is bound with 4 human souls. Very specific, but... Basically, Jebediah Brown's like, what the fuck, I can't build half of this shit, but I can build the case for you. So he builds the case, and then after that, the 115 starts, like, corrupting his mind. So he tries to put his mom in the Pack-a-Punch machine, and then accidentally makes a ghost. And then he goes crazy, and then...
Understandable.
Temporal rifts from shit that happens in the future, pulls all of Purgatory Point underground in Angola, Africa, in the year 2025. Everyone dies. Becomes zombies. We'll get to that later. So after that, we fast forward to World War II. There's a German... I'm dying. There's a German scientist called Dr. Maxis.
Dr. Maxis.
Home dog. He lives in Germany, and he's the next person to figure out about element 115. He finds it and distills it into a liquid, which is liquid divinium, by the way. He figures out what element 115 is, and he starts showing it to his colleagues, and then everyone together, they decide to band together and create a new organization to study element 115 to benefit humanity. And this group is called Group 935. They're important because they do a lot of the bullshit that we figure out later. But basically, the organization is created, and they're just vibing. This is before World War II. And then World War II happens, and they are low on funds, so they go to the Nazi party for funding.
I remember that.
They ask for money, and in return, they said that they can make a undead army and weapons for them. That's getting a little bit ahead of myself, but that's the basic plot.
Yeah.
While this is happening, the Illuminati sends our boy Edward Richtofen
Richtofen.
to Group 935. He infiltrates to let them know about stuff.
Honestly, I forgot he worked for the Illuminati.
Yeah, he works for the Illuminati. Basically, he joins Group 935, and he's there to help them develop teleportation technology. They start developing teleportation technology. Sometime through here, Samantha Maxis is born. Her mother dies in childbirth. Maxis gets her a dog named Fluffy to, make sure she's not
Keep her company.
depressed that her mom's fucking dead and shit.
Yeah, even though he probably is.
Anyway, after that,
The doctor, he's
Richtofen-
probably handling it well, honestly.
Richtofen is building these teleporters with Dr. Schuster and Dr. Porter, all those dudes. And Maxis is like, yo, y'all are wasting your time. He's like pissed that they're not making any progress. And
You made a walnut teleport, dumbass.
all of the people that
probably gotta
like they
have you.
used like human stuff first and like animals trying to make it to work, but they couldn't like keep the molecular structure the same. So whenever anything got teleported back, it became a zombie. Very odd. Anyway, after this, Maxis has to be transferred to another facility. He goes to the Kino der Toten facility. He chills there, and he's like building the undead army there. While Richtofen stayed at Derice with Dr. Porter and Dr. Schuster, and they're still continuing the teleportation experiments behind his back. Basically, eventually, they successfully teleport a walnut, and it maintains its full molecular structure between teleports. They notify Maxis again, and he's like, y'all have been wasting my money, this is a waste of time, y'all are dumb as fuck. Richtofen gets mad, and they splinter off from Group 935 and create their own little Richtofen fan club, where everyone likes Richtofen. So they make some improvements to the teleportation, and Richtofen is so confident that he teleports himself, and he gets teleported to Shangri-La. Well, first he gets teleported to the moon, where he meets the pyramid thingy that I talked about way like an hour ago. He finds the pyramid thingy, he touches that, it zaps him, and then it makes him go insane. And then he gets teleported to Shangri-La. There, he like tricks all the indigenous people into building a teleporter for him, and then he teleports back to Derice. Everyone there thought he was fucking dead. He shows up like, nah, guys, we're building a fucking base on the moon. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, basically, they reverse engineer that teleportation technology to send people up to the moon, and then they start construction on a base on the moon called Griffin Station. They build a giant-ass space station on the moon, and they're trying to get the pyramid device to work. While they're doing that, Richtofen schemes to kill Maxis and basically take over Group 935 for his own crazy ideas. Basically, once he got zapped and goes crazy, he can hear the voices of all the Apothicons in the dark ether. So he's basically going insane, and they're trying to convince him to open a portal so they can come back and wreak havoc.
Understandable.
He's also insane and just wants control of the ether himself, so is what it is. Basically, this is when shit goes down. We have our main boys. That was probably a good time to introduce them before all the shit goes down. Originally, they're all Richtofen's subjects. Originally, we had Pablo, Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takio. Pablo dies. So, well, they think he died. Richtofen removes his spleen, and then he thought he killed him, so he just threw him out in the ice. But he actually survived.
Huh.
And the other dudes, Dempsey was captured during a failed retrieval mission. They were trying to retrieve Peter McCain. Peter McCain actually escapes, and then he goes to Shinonuma, but he jumps out of the plane, and then he gets killed on the way down. Like, the parachute gets stuck. He's the hanging guy in Shinonuma.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he like falls, and then like the parachute gets stuck, and he hangs himself.
Oh god, that sounds like a terrible way to go out. 'Cause that's not a snap your neck hang. That's a suffocate hang.
Yeah, he gets suffocated to death there. It's pretty cool. And yeah, so Dempsey gets captured. The other boys that were with him, John, Banana, Smokey, we don't care about them. They're dead.
Understandable.
Takio was dispatched to Shinonuma, and he was like, "Bro, Emperor, my home dog, this shit ain't bussin'." And then they're like, "Hey,
As Takio says, his famous quote.
kill Takio." And they're like, "Alright," but they don't kill him, they actually just keep him as a test subject. And then Nikolai, they find him during the Battle of Stalingrad. They're like, "Alright, funny Russian guy. He'll make a good test subject. They take him too. So they all become Richtofen's little like playthings. And while all this shit is going on, Richtofen, they go on an expedition to the underground town in Africa. And they steal the original Pack-a-Punch machine, and he finds the notebook of Jeb Brown. He learns about the Agarthan device. He decides to keep this as a backup plan, because his main plan, we're going to get to that in a second, but he keeps this as a backup plan in case he can figure it out. And he's basically experimenting with the boys, and he binds all of their souls to a piece of Elemental 5, and it becomes the Elemental Shard. Maxis is pissed, splits the Elemental Shard in two, gives part of it to the Rising Sun facility, Shinonuma, and then the other part to... Oh, he just keeps it. He just keeps the other part. He tried to use it to... He tried to use it on the undead so that they'd keep their memories and shit, but it didn't work.
Failed experiments and all that.
Yeah, as you do. So while this is going on, Richtofen's plan is going along smoothly. He's like faking his relationship with Maxis, and at some point is the turning point. They charge up the pyramid on the moon by sacrificing a bunch of people. A bunch of satanic shit going on the moon. They basically power up the pyramid, and then so what happens is, this is like the dumbest shit ever, but they're doing another teleporter test, and Maxis is chilling with Richtofen. They're doing experiments while Samantha and Fluffy are there. Fluffy runs into the teleporter, so that then Samantha runs into the teleporter, and then Maxis runs into the teleporter, and then Richtofen seals them all in the teleporter and teleports them into random places.
Uh-huh.
So Maxis gets teleported to a place called the Crazy Place, where he learns to merge with electricity, which makes no fucking sense.
Yes.
Samantha gets teleported to the moon and enters the pyramid device and gets sealed inside, and becomes the new, like, god of the ether, basically.
Yeah, like little girl becomes unkillable god.
Right. And then Fluffy was actually pregnant, and she got teleported to, like, I think it just says the ether, which could be fucking anywhere. But basically she gets teleported to a place, has all her babies, and now there's like a bunch of immortal hellhounds.
Oh, that's where they come from.
Yeah, that's where they come from. They're all Samantha's dog.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hellhounds come from a human?
No, they come from the dog.
her dog.
Fluffy.
Fluffy.
The dog.
Oh, okay.
The dog is
Yeah, so
pregnant.
Well, I mean, I knew Fluffy was like a dog name, but I didn't know if it was an actual dog or if it was an actual female.
No, it was a dog. So the dog has babies, and then all the baby dogs are the hellhounds.
So she was just endlessly having babies.
So this shit happens. Richtofen goes to the moon. He's like, "Ha! I've done it. I've dealt with Maxis and his stupid ass daughter." And then they're like, "Well, actually, she's in the pyramid, sir." And then he's like, "What the fuck? Get her out!" And they're like, "We don't know how." So he's like, "Oh, this is some bullshit." Teleports Maxis back from the crazy place. Maxis already learned how to merge with technology. It makes no fucking sense, but just go with it. He goes up to the pyramid. He tells Samantha to kill them all, and then he kills himself with a gun, but before he kills himself, he merges with the technology on the station, on the moon. So he's dead, but not really.
He's actually just a god.
And now he's up there. Samantha has, like, bloodlust, and Richtofen's like, "Aw, hell nah." So he has to get the fuck out of there. He's back at Derice, and then he awakens his other test subjects to help him survive, and basically this is where like the birth of the 4 boys fighting the undead happens, realistically. So they're there, they're fighting off the zombies. They teleport to Shinonuma. They pick up Richtofen's diary because he needed to be reminded of his plans or some shit. They teleport back to Derice. They're fighting off the zombies. He's trying to get his plans together, but so there's a wonder weapon called the Wonder Waff, and it's literally just Wonder Weapon in German. So he shoots, so it basically shoots lightning. It's pretty neat.
Someone tells me Max
So-
is fused with that.
What happens is no. What happens is they're fighting off the zombies, and they use the teleporter and shoot the Wonder Wolf at the same time, and it accidentally teleports them to the future. So they time travel from like 1945 to 1963. Doesn't make any sense, but it's all good. So they get teleported to Kino, the Kino facility, which is the abandoned theater.
Oh shit.
They're
that's
vibing.
That's BO1, right?
Yeah, so we're in Black Ops 1 now. That was
Yeah.
all, well, mainly discussing World at War, but World at War doesn't really matter that much.
Hmm.
So, we make it to Black Ops 1. Richtofen and the crew get teleported to Kino. Nothing really happens at Kino. They find an abandoned lunar lander and they fucking go to Ascension. So, now this is where the complicated storyline shit happens, because there's a lot of stuff that happens at the same time. I guess
I feel
should
like
get the
all this
po-
is gonna be like, and while this happened, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, that's basically what's going on. So, so while they were off being teleported through time and shit, after the war, Group 935's technology gets split between the two leading superpowers, so America and Russia. America creates the Broken Arrow Project, which basically researches Element 115 and everything like that. And then Russia does the same thing. They create the Ascension Project. They have pretty different goals. In America, they're really trying to just recreate what Group 935 did, like make wonder weapons and not like exactly create the zombies. Like they do it unintentionally. They're just trying to make weapons, basically. And in Russia, they try to use like Element 115 to boost their rockets and shit to make it to the moon faster. See, in the zombie storyline, the reason that the space race happened is because they figured out that there's a space station on the moon and they're trying to get there first. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's whack.
Mm-hmm.
So after that,
Take a breath for a second.
yeah, just gonna chill for a second. We move over. Richtofen they take a lunar lander from Kino and go to the Ascension area, which it's named after the group. It's somewhere in like Ukraine. They're building rockets and shit there. They gave monkeys Element 115 to try and make them like swollen shit.
We
Doesn't
love
work.
monkeys.
They meet Dr. Gersh. Dr. Gersh was tricked. So basically, in Ascension, the main scientists are Yuri and Gersh. They create like the Gersh device, which is like the portal thingy. And basically, one of the items they recovered from Group 935 was Richtofen's diary that they got from Shinonuma. They take that to Ascension. Yuri reads the diary and then goes crazy. Samantha basically hijacks his mind and makes him go like insane.
Be like, yo, kill people.
Yuri finishes the Gersh device and then seals Gersh inside of it at Ascension. So, while all the boys are at Ascension, simultaneously, everything that's happening at 5 is happening.
Yo.
So 5 in
Zombies.
Ascension. So basically, in the Pentagon, JFK is having a meeting with Castro to discuss the Cuban Missile Crisis. And for some reason, Nixon is there.
Oh yeah, is that what that is like calm down, Nick, it's just a storm. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of stuff?
That's
Okay.
what the meme. That's where the meme comes from. This
Okay.
zombies map. So basically, the boys having a meeting, and then
Oh, my hands
Since-
are hurting.
so the 4 people that I talk about for simplicity, I'm gonna tell you what they're called. So this version of Richtofen, Nikolai, Dempsey, and Takio, they're called Ultimus. not Premise. We get to those guys. I know I already talked about them, but we'll talk about them again later. This is Ultimus. So Ultimus are at Ascension. Since they arrived there, for some reason it wakes up the zombies at 5 at the Pentagon. So all the zombies start attacking JFK, and they have to survive. It's pretty badass because they all like fight and they all survive. Because, you know, history still happens.
Yeah.
Fair.
It is kind of funny to think that in the zombie storyline, JFK like fought off hordes and hordes of zombies, and then the next, like, a couple weeks later, gets assassinated. Or whatever.
That's pretty funny to think about, yeah.
So while they're at Ascension, they free Gersh from the mechanism, and then he teleports them to their next destination, but he misses it off by like a mile. He teleports them all the way in the future to 2011, where George Romero is filming a zombie movie at an old Group 935 station in Siberia.
Understandable.
The actors, Danny Trejo, Michael Rooker, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Robert Englund are like the main crew this time, and the actors play themselves,
Oh.
like in the zombies map. So they have to get an old artifact. It's called the Golden Rod. They get that for Richtofen, and basically the Ultimus crew dip, and then we don't ever find out what happens to them. We assume they died, because you're not going to survive that many zombies, but... So, they get teleported again. This time, they teleport... we actually don't know what time period this takes place, but they teleport to Shangri-La, because Richtofen found something there while he was there last time. He found like a rock called the Focusing Stone that he needs. It doesn't make any sense, we're just going with it. He goes to get the Focusing Stone. After he gets the Focusing Stone, they go back to the moon. Once they get to the moon, they trick Samantha to come out of the MPD, and then
This guy's
Richtofen...
name is just Girl P.
Oh.
Okay,
It's
continue.
Anyway, Richtofen and Samantha swap bodies.
Hot.
So basically, he combines the Golden Rod and the Focusing Stone together, and for some reason that lets you switch bodies with people. So they switch bodies. So Samantha is in Richtofen's body. Ugh, and Richtofen is in Samantha's body.
Kinky.
I didn't say this, but I'm sure you probably picked up on it, but Samantha controls the zombies.
Yeah. Because she's like the god of the ether, so obviously she does.
Right, so once Richtofen gets switched, he becomes the new god, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is Maxis, who is still alive in the computer system, tells the rest of Ultimus that they need to blow up the Earth, and Ultimus are already like way out of it by now. They've gone insane, so they just go along with it, and they just launch rockets and blow up the Earth. And for some reason, blowing up the Earth severs Richtofen's control to the ether, so he can't like do all his crazy god shit, but he does still control the zombies.
Yeah.
So basically, he gets nerfed. And then we don't really see much of Ultimus afterwards. Once they come back, I'll explain it. That's basically where it ends up. Oh well, nope, we're not done yet. Black Ops 2. So after the Earth gets blown up, we meet another set of 4 characters, because it's always 4.
Marlton?
So we meet Marlton, Misty, Rustman,
Hot.
and Stillinger. They're all pretty hot. Just kidding.
Honestly.
These 4 are known as Victus. So Victus, they meet up in Washington State after the bombs fell. So the world is all fucked up. And basically, Richtofen and Maxis talk to the crew to try and get them to build these tower thingies that will reestablish his connection to the ether. Maxis wants them to build it so that he can gain control, and Richtofen just wants his control back.
Oh yeah, and he's talking
Yep.
through Stillinger, who can talk to him because of he eats zombie blood or eats zombie flesh, and that lets
Yes,
people talk to people through the ether.
I was about to say that. So an important thing to note is that not everyone can hear Richtofen. Only Stillinger can hear Richtofen because he ate zombie flesh, so he became connected to the ether. The other three can't hear him. They can only hear Stillinger try to like make them do it, but they can hear Maxis because he's talking through like radio systems. 'Cause he's like electricity.
Yeah.
So in the end, they decide to go with Maxis because, you know, majority rule. They build a tower, and then for some fucking reason, this is honestly when like shit really doesn't make any sense.
Welcome to the zombies timeline.
They get teleported to China for some reason, because that's where they need to build the next tower thingy. So they go get teleported to China, and then they build the tower in China, and then apparently just nothing happens for like 3 years. Like they just wander the earth for like 3 years. Eventually,
Fair.
they find the underground town that has somehow been just here untouched for like years. Well, I guess technically it actually hasn't been there that long because it just got teleported there. Yeah, basically when the Earth got blown up, like the ether gets all fucky wucky.
Are you
So,
talking
like,
about
some
Purgatory
shit-
Point?
Yeah, Purgatory Point gets teleported there, but no, because it's been there since like the 40s.
Yeah.
See,
Should be there.
originally before Tagdertone came out, it was teleported like days before Victus got there. But they retconned it to where it's been there since the 40s, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. But whatever.
Oh well. One of them.
When
It
is
doesn't
this-
matter. The point is, it's still there, and they.
When is this
teleported
shit?
it.
When has this shit ever made sense?
Yeah. The point is, it's there. They teleported
So,
there. Victus is
Victus-
there now.
Victus found it, and then basically they're like, "All right, yeah, this is the place you got to build the last tower thing." They're like, "Okay." They build it for Maxis. Maxis gains control, but then there's like a plot twist because Maxis was actually corrupted by the Dark Ether because he did all the fucky wucky Dark Ether shit in the crazy place. So he's actually crazy. He didn't give a fuck. He just really wanted to reunite with his daughter in Agartha, which he can't do because she's dead. Well, she's not
She's
dead.
not dead. She's
exactly.
God.
She's not dead exactly. She's basically like brain dead, but she's still like alive. It's weird. Anyway, so Maxis gets full control of the ether, and with his magic god powers now, he pulls Samantha's soul out of Richtofen's body, and then they go to Agartha where they meet Dr. Monty, and Dr. Monty's like, "Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck happened here?" He wipes Maxis because Dr. Monty's basically a god. He's a
Yeah.
descendant of the One. So he's basically a god, like literal god, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
He's half of
He wipe-
God.
Yeah, he's like half god. He wipes Maxis from the timeline, and then he gives Samantha a new body and lets her just vibe in his house.
Uh huh.
So, while this is going on, we can jump over to Dimension 63, which is quote-unquote the new dimension. So, in this timeline, basically in the beginning, the same shit happens, except they document the findings of the Great War. Pablo documents the findings because he was a soldier who gets reincarnated later. Don't fucking worry about it. Just know that shit was written down that tentacle monsters came to Earth and fucked shit up,
Huh. My
and
king.
that there were four heroes who saved Earth, basically. So they built a tomb
Wonder who those
in
were.
France. Fast forward to World War I. Germany finds the excavation site, basically, where they find this tomb that was for the great heroes of legend or whatever. Richtofen and Maxis are not founding members of Group 935 in this universe. They join later after it's already been established. So they join later, and then they get basically deployed to go study the mound and shit.
Is Richtofen still a member of the Illuminati?
No. He joins it later.
Oh,
Do you remember
flips around a little bit.
the thing about World War One? Because from what I picked up from the video that I watched about the zombies in World War One, is that the Germans are like trying to do something with the zombies.
Yeah, well, what happens is they're like excavating the tomb, and zombies from the Great War that's why they're wearing like the knight armor. They come out of the tomb and kill all of the soldiers, and they all become zombies.
Okay, I was making sure because that's what I saw. I was like, why are they wearing like Knights Templar armor?
Yeah, there's zombies from the Great War. Like, they've been just preserved down there forever, I guess. Yeah, so they open the tomb, and then the zombies come out and kill them, and then they all become zombies. And then, basically, Maxis in this timeline is going fucking crazy, because Samantha from the other timeline is talking to him, and he's like, what the fuck, I don't have a daughter. She's like, Dad, you gotta help me, I'm stuck in this house with this weird-ass, old-ass fucking Dr. Monty dude. So, he's like going crazy. Or at least Richtofen thinks he's going crazy. Richtofen in this timeline is good, by the way.
Yeah, he's not evil here.
Yeah, he doesn't go crazy. Like his other dude. So Richtofen's like, oh fuck. They start seeing the zombies and shit come on the camp. So Richtofen thinks that Maxis is becoming a zombie. So he literally cuts his brain out and puts it in a jar. And attaches it to a drone.
The moral solution, you know?
So after a while, the different armies for World War I, they send their troops, and it happens to be the other counterpart versions of the rest of the crew. So Takio and Dempsey and Nikolai get sent by their respective governments to figure out what the fuck is going on in northern France. So they show up, and they're like, what the fuck's going on? And then, for some reason, all of them can hear Samantha too. I guess it's because in the old timeline they met Samantha, so it's like a weird reverse thingy. So they're like, they all think they're going crazy. So while that shit's going on, they are fighting, like, towards the undead and slowly figuring out what they need to do. And then at the end, there's like a big-ass portal in the sky to Agartha that opened up. And they send Maxis's brain in the jar up through the portal, so Dr. Monty makes him a new body and a new brain. But for some reason, Dr. Monty can't create a new soul for him. Souls are kind of like loosely important. Like, they're important when the plot says it is, so...
Everything.
So Maxis doesn't get, like, a soul, but he still has a body and a brain, so he's essentially the same. Like, you can have, like, your body and still be you, but you won't have, like, for some reason you can go soulless. Which is an important part of what's coming up. So, after this, Richtofen splits up from the group. The rest of the group are basically like dimension hopping, and they're just killing Richtofens because they think he's evil. Well, they find like the different versions of Ultimus Richtofen who's crazy, so they're kind of just dimension hopping and killing anybody who looks like Richtofen.
Oh.
Richtofen, in the meantime, our boy Richtofen, Primus Richtofen, oh yeah, I didn't mention, but these four dudes are Primus.
So
That's what
it's
what they're called.
Takio, Dempsey, Nikolai, and other Richtofen, right?
Yeah, but the cool versions, not the goofy versions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically the boys from Black Ops 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we kind of went through Black Ops 2 a little quick, but it's alright. We're here in Black Ops 3 now. So Richtofen is chilling. He has a new mission for from Dr. Monty. He basically meets up with Maxis, and they're like, alright, we got a plan. What we need to do to secure a better tomorrow is we need to go to a dimension before, like, we need to go to an Ultimus version of yourself, kill yourself, take your soul, so that we can make a better version of yourself, so that they're trying to stop the events of Black Ops 1 from happening by killing those versions of them so that the universe doesn't get all fucked up.
Yeah, the whole point of that game, I think it's BO4 is when all that happens.
BO4 is a little later. We're talking about BO3.
Okay, it's one of those, BO3 or BO4, I don't remember which one.
So that's what we're really like trying to do, is we're trying to like stop all of the universe fucky-wucky from going on.
Yeah.
So Richtofen meets up with the boys who are at Darius before the events of like World at War. Ultimus Richtofen just teleported Maxis and Samantha to the moon in the crazy place and shit. So the boys show up and they're like, Richtofen, you can't be racist. Stop doing this shit. And then he's like, watch me. For some reason, he pushes the teleport button again, and then Primus Richtofen comes out of the teleporter. It makes sense. And then he just straight up walks up and shoots himself in the head.
Understandable.
His other self. Primus Richtofen shoots Ultimus Richtofen.
Yeah,
and
we
then
got
Ultimus
that.
Richtofen is killed. And then he pretends to take his soul, because he doesn't actually do it here, he actually did it before. So there's a little bit of prelude stuff. So the Shadowman has not been lazy, he's been setting a lot of shit up. I know, like, I mentioned him way back at the beginning, but he's got his own agenda. Mans just wants his Apothicon lads to be in the sunlight again, alright? So he manipulates the souls of people to basically bind them to the Dark Ether so that portals can open and then the Apothicons can come through into your dimension.
Understandable.
So in Dimension 63, after Primus leave way back during World War 1, we fast forward all the way to like 1940-ish. Basically they're in Chicago, and these four people known, they don't have a name, they're just the Shadows of Evil crew, but these four dudes are basically sinners. The Shadow Man binds their souls and he makes them sacrifice people so that they can open a gateway, and basically they come through, and for some reason the summoning key is in this dimension specifically for some fucking reason. We don't really figure that out, but Richtofen basically shows up and steals the summoning key, and then that dimension gets overtaken by Apothicons. And then he goes to dimension like 212 or whatever, 2212. It has a specific name, but it doesn't matter. He basically walks up on a little kid version of himself and then kills himself and takes his soul.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
He then goes to Darius and meets up with the boys, kills the evil version of himself, pretends to take his soul so that everyone else will do it too. Events of the Giant happen. Basically, they connect with Maxis, and he's like, oh, okay, I know where you are, this is where you need to go next. They get into a giant robot. They use the robot to go to Dreisendrach, which is a medieval castle that Group 935 took over, and it has stuff about the Great War in it. Remember, in this timeline it was documented, so there's stuff around about it. They show up to Dreisendrach. They're there to kill Ultimus Dempsey. Basically what happens is, before they show up, they strap Ultimus Dempsey to a rocket and try to send him to the moon. Because they're trying to get him up there for some reason. I don't know why they were so defensive about it. But basically, the boys show up. They resurrect a dead Keeper. The Keeper goes to the moon, kills everyone at Griffin Station, touches the MPD, goes crazy, comes back. They kill the Keeper, they do some boopity bop Simon Says bullshit. Ultimus Dempsey comes back from the moon. They kill him in his sleep. It's
Huh.
actually very sad.
Aw.
Dempsey kills himself, and he's like really sad about it.
Makes
So
sense
we
if you just killed
collected-
yourself.
We collected his soul. So now, for some reason, when you collect someone's soul in one universe, all of the souls are taken out of their bodies or whatever. It's like one shared soul amongst all the different versions of yourself. So,
Mhm.
when we took out Ultimus Dempsey and Ultimus Richtofen, their souls get collected in the summoning key, basically. It makes no sense, but we're going to run with it.
Mhm.
After this, they teleport to an island facility out in the Pacific run by the Japanese. They find Takio in a bunker, and he's like depressed and shit. He tells Primus Takio about how the Emperor doesn't give a shit about you or what you do.
Oh,
And then he gets depressed, and then Ultimus Takio commits seppuku because he wants to keep his honor. Yeah, it's actually really sad. So he's killed, they collect his soul, then they move on to Stalingrad, they find Nikolai fucking shit up, like killing stuff. There's dragons there for some reason.
Yeah, I was
mean,
saying it's the dragon timeline.
There's dragons there for some reason.
He's in
don't
like
worry
a
about
giant
it.
mech for no reason.
Yeah, he's in a giant mech killing dragons for no reason. Igor Krovi's literally just the rule of cool. Like, we're just gonna throw shit in here and let it happen. Anyway, they show up. Ultimus Nikolai is actually really, like, on first glance, he's not really like a deep character. He's just like, haha, I had like a million wives and I drink vodka. Well, now.
I'm just
so every
awesome.
Russian ever.
But then, at the end, he actually becomes like the deepest character, because at the end of the Gora Easter egg, it's revealed that he only ever had one wife, and she was killed because they dropped bombs on their house and killed their kids
Oh shit.
and his wife. So he like turned to alcohol to like null the pain.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really fucking sad.
Alright, I guess.
So they kill Nikolai, take his soul, and then they go to the house in Agartha with the boy Dr. Monty. And they're like, alright, we got your fucking souls and shit. Can we make them better tomorrow now? He turns their souls into like little kid versions of themselves. But what we didn't know is way back, like, I forgot to mention this, the Shadows of Evil, the Shadow Man got trapped in the summoning key. So like, yeah, he was in there. And then since Maxis didn't have a soul,